about life. If you've had an abortion, seek help today. And if you're thinking about having an abortion, please contact those organizations right here in Portland who will help you through this crisis and help you to choose life. Abortion is devastating. The consequences are long-lasting. To choose to support life is good for you and good for your community. Thank you.
Welcome back to the Woman to Woman Show. We're talking about men and abortion. And I want to talk about now the healing programs that are available for men out there, whether they have an abortion experience in their past or know somebody that does. And these programs are for men and women now, is that right? And I know we have all kinds of choices out there, and a couple of you did Rachel's Vineyard, and we're going to talk about that. And Graham, why don't you start talking about another program that you experienced also?
Sure. The one I took, actually second, was called Healing a Father's Heart. And it's available here in Portland. It's presented to a all-male group, whereas the companion, called Forgiven and Set Free, is presented to all women.
Oh, got it.
So it's basically the same program. It's offered over a 12 or 10-week, one night a week, with fairly substantial Bible study in between the weeks.
Okay.
And it is a Bible-oriented program. It goes into things like anger issues that we keep inside, and the guys do that really well. Characteristics of God and why He wants us to admit and confess our sin. And then the healing that goes on after the fact. And there's quite a number of processes that go on in that X many weeks. The two programs themselves were actually written by the same author, Linda Cochran.
Oh, yeah.
And it's provided in town by the Portland Pregnancy Resource Centers.
So they have all the information
Right.
of when the next one's coming up, or
Exactly.
how to get started.
Yeah, they have one particular phone number, which is 503-22, and the word HEART, H-E-A-R-T.
And we're going to run that on the screen. That's easy.
And when you call that number, they know why you're calling. You want to find out about healing after an abortion trauma.
How easy was it to make that call?
Actually, I didn't make the call. I was lucky enough to have the facilitator be a member of our church.
Oh,
so he told me
wow.
about it.
Yeah.
He was probably the second person that ever found out about my story.
Wow.
So I keep thinking, no, I should make that call just to say I know what it's like to make that call. But the call I made to go to Rachel's Vineyard, which was actually the first program I experienced, was a very similar kind of call.
Exactly. It's just taking that first step of, I'm saying this out loud.
Making the acknowledgement, I did this, and now I need to deal with it, and the healing that goes on after the fact, the dealing with the grief, the shame, the guilt, whatever that each of us carries, is the subject of all of those programs.
Did you find after you went through the healing program that there was a change inside of you and a change in how you were able to relate to other people?
In this certainty of what we're doing tonight, being here, I would never have thought that that was going to be in my future.
Yeah.
I've had now the option 3 times on your show and at least twice on an in-town radio show to present this message.
Yeah.
So my work with attempting to get the word out, especially to the men, not that the women don't need to hear it, but I like to present it that women seem to be smarter about this subject. They realize they've got a need.
I don't know.
The guys don't want to own up to the fact. We don't ask for directions of how to get down the block to target.
That's right. That's a good
point. For us to hear that message and to hear it from another man,
it's better.
Is the important way forward for them.
Yeah, I think you're right. Okay. Well, I think that it's great. There's more than one type of help out there for whatever suits you.
Exactly.
Lawrence, will you talk about what someone can expect going on a Rachel's Vineyard retreat? What's it, without giving away all the secrets that are important to have happen on, in their version, but what if someone says, what's it like? What will I experience?
It's very intense because as opposed to one night a week for 10 weeks, this is about 48 hours of intense.
You go on a Friday night and
It starts off Friday evening and finishes in
Sunday.
Sunday afternoon.
Okay.
And they have various exercises to help us realize what is happening. But what struck me was the spirituality and the healing.
Yeah.
Knowing that I was forgiven.
Yeah.
And they have us carry this rock around until we're ready to get rid of it all weekend.
Of course.
And everybody had different times when they would put that rock on the table. It made you realize, you know, how long you're holding on to this thing, sometimes out of pride. And it was interesting. I thought that when I first got there, some of the women looked at me askance.
Yeah.
They resented me being there.
Yeah.
But at the end of the retreat, it's, you know, this one particular woman, she confessed to me that she was very upset that a man was there, and she, after seeing what I went through, she was glad to have known me and to have shared that experience with me.
So it's high octane forgiveness here.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, did anyone go home with a rock?
Not that I know of.
Okay.
Not that I know of.
That's pretty good. That's pretty good. I think that's important that you have your difference of, you know, a weekend of just, you know, really, really high level important stuff going on.
And I know that there is some follow-up if people need some, because there was one individual in our group that just couldn't be forgiven. And
just having a longer
there was
road.
follow-up. The facilitators followed up with this individual, and I had asked several weeks later how it was going. They said it's still pretty tough.
Still
this
tough.
individual just couldn't accept.
Takes longer.
Forgiveness, but
we're not machines.
That was that's right. So they do a nice job of following up.
Well, that's good to know, because you want to be with people you can trust for anything like this. And Mike, how about your experience? What would you say about it?
Well, you know, they also, when I was there as a man, many of them are surprised to see a man there, because they do feel like they need that time as a group of women to heal, and they think, well, you're the enemy.
Oh, yeah.
And so,
because, you know, of the situation with...
But then actually, after you start sharing, a man starts sharing the pain they have inside of them, then they see that man sharing that pain, and they may not have seen that with their own experiences, you know. And so they see a man and say, well, yeah, I guess men do have pain in this issue, and they can be forgiven. And so I think that it was very helpful for them to see that. Then also, when we have a role play sometimes, they really want that man to be in there, because then they have this, usually a man in their life that's caused the pain, and they like to see that man face to face, and you sit in for that man, and then that's very helpful for them too. It's tough. I did that myself. I was the role player, and they really, I mean, like the darts at me were really going, you know, so I could really feel the anger they had. And so I just, you know, I stood it, and you know, it was really helpful for her though to get that out though. It was really good. And
I think that there's probably so much that it gets accomplished in these programs that, you know, it's got to be divine inspiration for whoever designed these. They knew, you know, don't you think? It has to be.
No
how could it not be? But Jerry, just with your perspective now on this topic, do you have people that now realize that you're helping talk about this and helping men, you know, be aware of this? Or do people ask you, why are you doing this? You know, why are you talking about abortion?
Well, not as many as I wish would.
Really?
Well, that's a personal conviction. I need to own up to that. That's a responsibility I have. I will say, as I'm listening to each of you share, as a primary care physician, currently in the United States, over 90% of the medications prescribed for mental health problems are prescribed by family practice, internal medicine doctors, not by psychiatrists. And so a person who presents, say, with the issues of, like in Graham's case particularly, maybe 25, 30 years of suppressing all these feelings comes in often with, well, whether it's PTSD or depression or anxiety.
And explain what PTSD is.
Well, post-traumatic stress disorder, which is a it's a very large, involved diagnosis. But they come into their primary care doctor expecting to be treated for this. And we do. We prescribe lots of the common medications we're aware of for depression and for anxiety and for insomnia. I mean, these medicines are all household
doesn't
words.
It? It's pretty common to...
I think what you shared was that I can't prescribe a pill for forgiveness.
Oh.
I can't do that. And that's what these men need.
They're yearning for something that medicine cannot give them.
Cannot provide. Now, not that we don't have, once we're aware of of some of the underlying issues, we can certainly get qualified mental health individuals involved, and even then it may more of conventional, even counseling may not get to the root of the issue of saying I need to be assured that I'm forgiven of what I did. Otherwise I will likely die that way, feeling unforgiven. And I heard you all say that. To me, that's where these kind of programs I think would have to be essential for a man to know, yes, I can go to my doctor appropriately for medication, but I can be healed spiritually. My actual soul can be forgiven once and for all.
And well, I mean, it goes without saying, doesn't it, to you as physicians, that emotional distress comes out physically and can and will, almost, you can say?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So this is something that you do not only for your spiritual healing, your emotional healing, but for your physical life. Is that right?
Ultimately,
I mean,
yes.
that you need to address something that bothers you that much. And does it do any good to say to yourself, nothing's wrong, nothing's wrong, nothing's wrong? Does that do any good? You know, to say the words and surround yourself with people that say, you know, there's nothing to that. That's nothing bad.
It's sort of like the person who gets a lump growing somewhere and they just say, well, it's not sticking on my clothes yet, so I'll just leave it alone. And just ignore it. And they come in, you got cancer. Why didn't you do anything? Well, I was afraid it would be cancer.
So it does zero good to pretend.
Yeah.
Your body won't undo the damage, or it won't heal.
Well, we use the term time will heal everything. That's not necessarily true.
Ooh.
That's not necessarily true. There are some things, again, Graham, 30 years later.
Yeah.
And 35 years later.
Oh. God.
Time didn't heal it, obviously.
No. You're right.
In some cases, you became worse over time.
Ooh, you can be. Well, you know, we've only got a minute left, and so will you guys hang around so we can do another show? Keep talking? Sure. Okay, good. Briefly, I just want to throw something out there to somebody listening right now, and maybe they're 18, 19 years old, and their girlfriends come to them and said, let's get an abortion. What do you want to say to that man, that boy, whatever, listening right now?
The thing I would say is this is not something you can rewind, do over, change your mind later. So if there's any hint of, I don't think this is a good idea, but I'm going to let her talk me into it, don't go there.
Don't go there.
Don't go there.
I agree with Graham. It's once it's done, it's done. Can't put them back together again.
Can't bury it.
And you cannot change the effect on your relationship. Your relationship with the man and woman that have that abortion, their relationship will be eternally distorted.
Yeah.
The woman's right to choose, is that real or not? Remember, this young man, this is your baby, too. You are the father of this child.
Healing a man's heart. That's what we're going to talk about more, and I thank you all for coming and talking about this issue that just isn't talked about. Abortion hurts men, and we hope that everybody says no to abortion if you're out there, and I thank you so much, and hopefully we'll get to keep talking